Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Prime Talk. Today, I have a special guest. Today, I'm having Jerome Deguigné. Jerome is the founder and CEO of e-Comas, which is a global e-commerce marketplace agency based out of Luxembourg, Europe. So, Jerome, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Yoni. I'm very happy to be there.
Our pleasure. Our pleasure. I was waiting for this for a little while. I have to admit, I'm curious about the story because today's episode is going to focus all about you, right? The story of Jerome Deguigné. So you're going to share with us everything. Who are you? Where are you from? Where were you born? Where'd you grow up? And how'd you begin your professional career and station to station until we reach to where you are today with the world of e-commerce. So without further ado, let's jump right into it.
Let's do that. So it's probably not a very good exercise for my ego, but let's dive into it, and let's like a lot of CEOs, we like to talk. So so I was born in France, in the middle of France, where nobody is there. So there's more cows around where my parents live than people.
What's the name of the town?
It's actually Moulins, the name of the town, and it's not too far from another town called Vichy, which has got some historical links. So it's
there was a Vichy regime, right? Vichy was a general
exactly.
also, or am I wrong, or what? Am I confused?
No, it was so the Pétain was the sort of the it was during the Second World War. The government from France, when the Germans moved from Paris to Vichy, and France was in half. The top part was German, and the second part, lower part, was French. Until at some point the Germans went and invaded everything.
Got it.
So that's sort of where I was born. My mom is British, my dad is French. So I spent quite a bit of time during holidays and stuff in the UK, where half of my family was and is still. I have cousins and stuff. So
where are they based out of the UK, the London area?
Yeah, no, they were based into Gloucestershire. So you have Bristol, Bath, a very nice area. So it's still England. My grandma was Scottish and my grandfather was Welsh. So it's quite a big mix. We were a family of 6. And yeah, we country life, having a dog, having lots of space. And
your parents, what kind of industries were they involved with? Were they in an industry, or they were in farmland, or
No. So my mom was was a physiotherapist, but she was in the UK. She got a diploma in the UK, but at that time when she came into France, there was no recognition, so she couldn't be a physio, or she had to restart everything, which she didn't.
You're saying a physical therapist?
Yeah, physiotherapist. Yeah, and then she became she took care of her kids, which was quite a bit of work.
6 kids, yeah, for sure, yeah. Full-time job with no breaks.
Yep. And then she became, after when she had more time, an English teacher. So she was in a chamber of commerce, so helping French entrepreneurs to learn a bit better English. So that was, and my dad was he was running companies, so he had different types of companies, doing some he had a DIY store at some point. Then he opened a sort of a outsourcing agency for doctors he was taking appointments for doctors and stuff like that. So
it sounds like he was very he was a self-starter. It takes initiative and an entrepreneur in a way.
Yeah, in a sense. So my dad, bless him, is a very disorganized person, but he was going after it and creating stuff, and he was always a people's person. He still is very much a people person. So he would create and get people around him to work on something. So he was very inspirational in that part of getting people around him.
Guys, so growing up, were you involved with anything that was entrepreneurial, or were you just focus more on school and learning, getting good grades?
Yeah, I didn't join. So my dad didn't really want to have his kids, or I don't think he wanted to have anyone tell him how he should do things better, or he's not that type. So we didn't get involved really on that. It's also old French tradition is that you don't mix business with family. So you don't talk business with, and it's a bit of a French thing sometimes, not everywhere, but in some
At least
levels
in
like
Vichy, yeah.
higher.
In your area in Vichy, that was the mindset.
No, it's a kind of a level where some it's a bit disgusting to talk business and money in a sense. There was this
Yeah, yeah.
so there was this kind of culture. I didn't hear my granddad was doing a lot of business, and he never talked about business in family. So it was like it's a
Interesting. Wow, yeah.
family culture thing. So anyway, I went to a business school in Grenoble, so near the Alps. Really
Hold on,
nice.
business school.
So
This was already in the university or college.
yeah, yeah. So
Got it. So, which year did
university.
you start university? Which year?
So 1998, I think, because I finished 2001. Yeah.
Got it. So 1998, you moved to Switzerland. Yeah.
To Grenoble. No, it's still France, but it's very close to Switzerland. I did so. You have in France, you go to the lycée, you have your baccalaureate, which is your sort of A levels in the UK, and then I had 2 years to prepare for an exam to get into the business school, and then business school is a master's degree, and then ready to go for work.
Got it. So already
Basically.
2001, you finished with the masters, or you said a bit longer
Yeah, I
before
finished with the master's. So I spent 6 months in Germany to work in Daimler Benz, so Mercedes Benz. So that's where I learned really German during this period. Then in 2001, in France, you still had a military service. And
Oh,
there was a
really?
specific thing in France where you could do your military service inside a French company abroad in another country. So it was an option.
That's
And
so
it's an
interesting.
option where the the companies would not pay taxes on your salary. So it was really a good thing because rather than spend a year to do nothing because the army didn't have any money, so you could spend 2 years in a company abroad. So I went to the chemical branch of Total in Turkey. So
Total Fin,
yeah,
what's it called?
yeah, it was at that time it was still Total Fina Elf, then it changed to Total,
So
and
this is oil industry or gasoline or energy
yeah,
industry,
and chemicals. So
chemicals,
it's
right?
polypropylene, polyethylene, a lot of plastics, a lot of they had thousands of products. It was a small team. So my boss was French. He had a long career, so he was 60 years old, and I was his sort of right hand or helping him out on everything he wanted. And the rest was the Turkish team, 10, 15 people, and was really amazing because
Oh,
I
so let
lived
me
two
let me
years in
understand. So,
Istanbul.
yeah, which year did you start there? 2001.
2001. So I got married 2001, very young, so 22, 23. And then I went straight away to Istanbul and we lived the 2 first years. My 2 first years of career was in Istanbul.
And hold on,
And
this is amazing. This is so you can do instead of going to France and doing a military service there, you're able to do it in Turkey and Istanbul for Totofin working there, and they have some sort of an arrangement with the government to pay you less. Yeah, you get a tax break.
exactly. Oh, no taxes. Yeah.
Wow, that's so very interesting. I never heard of that. That's pretty smart,
Yeah,
pretty interesting.
they don't get everything right, but that is a good idea. And now that there's no military service anymore, but the system is still gone. It's called the volunteer program, VIE, and it still works. So young French kids can go, girls and boys can go in a company abroad, and it still works. And that was super because I spent 2 years in Istanbul. My first daughter was born in Istanbul, so that was
Nice.
quite an adventure. And yeah, I really loved it. I learned
Did you pick up
Turkish.
any Turkish? Yeah, you were able to pick it up.
Yeah, I was taking courses every week, and my boss was taking, so we were doing it together,
That's
and it was really
teşekkürler.
nice. Yeah, teşekkürler, and yeah, so it was
But let me get
yeah,
this straight. I'm sorry to cut you on this. So you know British English because your mother's British. French, obviously you were born there. You said you already picked up German and you have
yeah.
Turkish. So it seems like it's gonna the list is gonna continue. So we'll get there.
No, unfortunately, that's boring. But
Four.
I was pretty good in Turkey. Was Turkish. Now I've like you don't practice it much
Right.
as a friend. But I have in our team I have two Turkish people who come from Istanbul, and it's lovely to listen to them
Nice.
talking Turkish. So yeah, 2 years there, I learned a lot of things, and having a bit of a mentor. He was 60 years old. He had lived in many countries in petrol industry, and he had loads of anecdotes, loads of stories, and I really enjoyed it immensely. And then I came back in 2003, and I looked for a job, and I found a job very close to Luxembourg, which is where I'm at, and it was for a Chinese company selling photo accessories.
Hmm.
And I was in charge of a big part of Europe. So I got to travel a lot, like a lot in northern Europe specifically. So Norway, Sweden, Finland, Denmark, Germany, obviously, Poland, all of that. So I that was really I spent 10 years, and at one point I was head of Europe for the company.
What was it in
And
the company?
Europe, and it was Vanguard. So for anyone who's into photo and photo shooting, they've become the number two brand basically in accessories. So when
Nice.
we started, we were no name brand, and sort of we built it up, and they went on building up. And my boss was the lady owner of the company, Annie Lee. Um, and also learn incredible things with her. I mean, she like a lady from China building a very big multinational company. That's quite impressive. It's also tough. So after 10 years of Chinese management, I said, okay, that's a good timing to move on. And that's the funny bit of my story is I was looking for a job. I did an MBA in Paris, and it was an MBA going on a lot of different countries, same very multilingual, multicultural. I did this MBA, and I was looking for a job, and I said, I speak fluently a couple of languages. I've done this and that. I will find a job like that. I didn't find a job, so
This is in
reality check.
2013 already.
2013 exactly.
But before
So I
we
looked
jump
for a
into that,
job.
I wanna
Yeah,
summarize the 10 years you did in Europe. So you were involved with the BD, the business development. So you're able to basically create the market in each of these countries. You mentioned Denmark. You mentioned I know probably France and Germany and Italy. All these markets you come in and you just build it up for the brand, and then within 10 years, it's already a multinational established brand that's number two in the marketplace. That's pretty heavy, serious experience
yeah,
because the dynamics
yeah.
of each culture and its regulations and distributions, which makes it very, very complex and challenging, and seems like it was successful. So it's pretty good experience.
Yeah, it was a team exercise. So obviously,
Sure.
the factory in China, so it was very different. We were not guys having products produced by someone else in China. It was our own factories producing, and they really big jump in quality, and that was the base of everything. And then the team, as a common exercise, we built the brand, and it was really a lot of people got put into place, and it was a collective success. That was really
Then let me ask
great.
you about the strategy. So each country had its own distributors with their own rights, or you had like one for Europe that kind of had to penetrate to each country and their own independently. What was the structure as far as you remember?
Yeah, so it works less well usually to have a pan-European. Like if you're American and you go and the guy say, yeah, well, I can handle all of the countries, normally it's not true. So
All the states, you
typically
mean? Yeah,
in you,
yeah. What do you mean all
yeah,
the
yeah,
states in America? Yeah, all the regions. Uh-huh.
yeah. Like sometimes you need to have one guy in each country more or less. So we had either a distributor or a set of dealers or like reps, for example. So but you had to have your local team. At some point we decided to open our own subsidiaries. So I opened, I think, 3 subsidiaries. Sorry, in Germany, in the UK, and Spain.
So these subsidiaries,
And
you took control and you did your own distribution in the in those countries, in
yeah,
those regions.
so we recruited the GMs locally, and they were handling their own market. What was interesting and what led me into this job now is that the photo business at that time was living a double revolution. The first one is that the product was going from analog to digital. So your old camera with your film and everything was dying, and it was getting to digital, completely digital cameras. And even you had it was getting into phones, right? Like you had your small cameras. They more or less died because nobody's taking any more pictures. They're using their phones, right? So this first revolution, and the second revolution was the distribution that was going more and more online, and the photo business went very quickly online, and like consumer electronics was very successful, especially on the Amazons and everywhere. That was one of the first categories where prices were cut because they were making loads of margin before. That's where a lot big companies like Kodaks and others went bankrupt because they were making huge money, and then all of a sudden, whew, no films where you make 500% margin. So a lot of the market shrinked, and it went through this big revolution of going the product, but also the distribution into digital and e-commerce. And that sort of that was my experience of that change. And some categories or some products haven't still lived that. Like if you look into DIY, for example, it's especially in Europe, still a lot of places are still very traditional yet and not very online, right?
You're saying
So
DIY
yes,
is do
you still
yourself
with the
products kind of a category, yeah?
Yeah. So some categories are still very much traditional, but my experience there was wow, okay, we had to do the Amazon. I was handling all the I was coordinating all the Amazon accounts for the company in Europe, and
Oh, you're already on
my job
Amazon?
is
So you're already selling on
yeah
Amazon back in 2000, in the early 2000s?
yeah 2000 from 2008, 9, 10. So we were on Amazon, and my job was to create relationships. I got to know a lot of people inside Amazon Europe, in the different countries, going having lunch and creating that rapport with them. So I knew loads about Amazon already by talking with friends, and we were vendors, but because in that day and age, brands specifically in Europe were mostly vendors. So I knew a lot of things, but I didn't see that it had an enormous value for a lot of people, and probably Amazon was less of a buzzword that it's became.
Yeah, back then it was
Anyway,
just up and coming, and it's under the background of things. But my question to you is, so give us a little bit of idea. But you said it's like, a camera accessory. So give us an idea of a few products that were really good sellers for you.
so typically it would be tripods. So the tripods, for your camera, bags, tripods, bags. We had cases, but that was not, and binoculars. That were the 4 product groups. So tripods for me, it was always amazing. We would sell thousands of tripods, and you say, what do people do with tripods? Like, what you've bought one, why would you buy another one? Like, it for me, it was always a mystery, but it was selling. So I think people would lose them, or I don't know what
Yeah,
they
it's
were
a great
doing.
niche. It's a
But it
nice
still
niche.
sells.
Yeah.
And it's very high value added, because typically it's like it's gone down now with time, but it's like if you have a carbon fiber, it's easily 200, 300 bucks for a tripod, and it's like, and if you sell a few thousands, that's already an enormous turnover. So yeah, that was and bags, photo bags. I don't know what people do with photo bags.
They want to protect their investment, their devices. But okay, so let's jump into 2013. You thought you're gonna try to look for a job, all this experience, somebody's gonna grab you, and then that's it. But it
and then
wasn't the
not
case.
at all.
Okay, so what happened?
So and in Europe, and specifically in France, you have a very good unemployment package, so where the government will give you some money, and for nearly 2 years you can get, I think, 80% of your previous salary in money. And I was probably
For how long? How
young
long
and
do they pay you
stupid.
80% of your salary?
2 years. I think it goes down, but I think it in total is 2 years. But
Wow.
I don't think
Here,
it's 80% of the.
yeah, I think in the United States, if I'm not mistaken, it's about 6 months. So you guys get 4 times more or longer unemployment.
I think so. I'm not the best one for that, but I think yeah,
Yeah.
it's in that area. But you know what? I was young and stupid. I'm not young anymore. But it's I thought, no, I don't want that money. I'm young and I've got energy. I shouldn't get money. That's not right.
Mhm.
Was probably
It sounds like you're an American or something. It's very capitalistic.
yeah,
Like, the government should be doing
yeah.
nothing for me. I'll do, I'll do it myself.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, I thought no, there are people who've got unfair circumstances, or do
for
I
sure.
I thought I should be I shouldn't be resting. I should be going and fighting it. So I
I
decided
appreciate
I'll
that.
set
Yeah.
up my own company,
Hmm.
and I started that company, and I thought, okay, I'll go completely outside of my industry, because I never liked the people who go from one competitor to another. I said no, I lived 10 years in one color company. I don't want to go into another one. Like, I don't want to be that kind of guy.
Hmm.
So I decided I would go totally different. So I started to work with outsourcing companies, one in outsourcing in India for industrial design. So to do like CAD design in India. Another one was for
CAD, you mean
defense.
computer animated design? Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. And The other one was outsourcing in Madagascar for data entry. Because Madagascar, you've got a lot of people which, fortunately or unfortunately, I don't know, have a very low income, and then you can get for fun fact is that, for example, in the French government has decided to digitalize all the birth records in France. So they pay companies to come and take pictures, and then they don't know, or they know but they don't care. They pay loads of people in Madagascar to do all the typing, because they look at the pictures and they do data entry of all the birth certificates and everything. So all the French people who can now go to their like, town hall, they find all this information thanks to people in Madagascar who've done that for them. So
That's interesting.
that's
Yeah, interesting trivia
yeah.
fact. Nice.
Yeah. So I did that for 2 years, and outsourcing is a tough business. And one thing I realized I didn't like doing is selling um, cost savings. And like, I found out that when you're selling cost savings, sorry, I have the sun is playing with me. When you're selling cost savings, and people always have this thing of, okay, you're always trying to save then your own costs and everything. So I didn't like selling less, and I thought, no, I want to sell a value added. I want to sell them more. And so after 2 years, I thought, not a good idea. Like, I'm not enjoying myself. So I said, okay, I'll go back to some of the people I knew from my old industry, and specifically a binocular brand in Germany called Eschenbach. And they told me, okay, listen, we're looking for someone to take care of all our distribution worldwide for binoculars. I said, fine, cool, I'll do that. And very quickly, I found out that most of the distributors were dying in the photo world and the outdoor world, and that the easiest way was to go on Amazon. And I knew loads about Amazon, so it's simple. I'll just go and do that. And then I found out that actually, the more I was talking about Amazon, the more people were interested. When I was saying, okay, I can help you build your business. Yeah, I know about it. I'm
This is
okay.
already
But when I was
2015.
talking, yeah, 2015, I start with this big brand, and I start more and more talking about Amazon. And then when you talk to someone, you say, okay, are you selling on Amazon? The guy say, yes. Do you have a problem? Oh, yes. Then, okay, you're in, so to speak. So as a sales pitch, it was a no-brainer, because when I was saying, okay, do you sell a product? Yeah. Do you need help me to help you sell? No. So it was totally a different, sales discussion for me to sell myself. Is like, Amazon was a no-brainer, and a lot of people were fighting with Amazon, and I saw always it was the wrong type of fights, and sometimes was not fighting the right type of fight. So it's like, how Amazon is, and most of the time they don't really care. It's like, don't fight on things they don't care. Just avoid it or something. So it started like that. I said, no, but you're doing something wrong. Listen, okay, let me tell you. And then people say, oh yeah, can you come and help me? Sure, yeah, it was pleasure. And I sort of build that around this. And so 2015 to 2018, my team, we were a very small team. And because I wanted it to be a small team, quiet, I built a lot of networks and a lot of relationship with a lot of other people with other networks. I also built my knowledge in terms of consulting, strategic consulting. I worked with a lot of other consultants, and I learned a lot during that period.
Did you
And we
keep
were
Eisenbach, the binocular company, the German one? Did you keep it as a client the whole time, or you involved with them, or that was a pretty quick touch and go kind of
no,
relationship?
yeah, we worked together for 2.5 years, and after some point they said, okay, it's grown so much that we're taking someone internally.
Yeah,
The typical thing
that's just
which can
success. Yeah,
happen.
that's just success. You make something big, like we should probably invest enough in our resources to try to go independent. But that just vouches for your success.
Exactly.
That's an interesting. That's a good thing.
And yeah, and they would they offered me, they say, okay, do you want to join the company? I said, yeah, I have this thing happening, the company myself, so I'd rather go on. And they said, okay, cool. So
Yeah. So
it
all
was
these 2.5 years, you were the relationship was you're a consultant. Yeah.
yeah, I was a consultant. I had a couple of other brands. We started to onboard, and I had I had Richard in India. For me, I had 3 people in Madagascar, and we're 2 in Europe. So we're a small team, 5, 6, 7. like that, and it was fine. And at some point, I started in 2018, yeah, 2018, 19, people started to ask more, and I started to have bigger clients like Michelin in France, or big, larger, big groups, which I can't give all the names, but very big groups where they, because through my relationship and network, they say, okay, we need someone who knows about Amazon on a strategic level. And then I started to talk with more and more companies and have more and more demand. Then I met Alvaro, which you made the interview with, and uh, he was also from the industry in a business development role. And then all of a sudden, it all kicked off, and it was just like I had prepared the foundations for 5 6 years, and then all of a sudden it all clicked into place, and I found like people. And now then the first in 2019 we finished 12 people. Then 2020 we finished probably short of 30 people, and this year we'll finish probably a bit more than 45 people. So it's like all of a sudden it just exploded in terms of numbers. But I really believe it's because for a long time I was not hungry or impatient. I was always impatient, but I was building without really knowing a lot of foundations. Which once it was ready, or I was ready to say, okay, I'll invest in the team. Well, it happened.
Nice. But tell me, once you were start with consulting in 2015, the dynamic was mostly focused on vendor sell essential, third party selling, which is Amazon Sell Essential, or both. What was the experience like all these years, for you and your clients?
So I would say I started very much from a vendor experience myself, and then gradually blending and sell essential as we went. And now today it's probably like the rest of the market is 70/30, like 70 seller, 30 or 20/30
So
is vendor.
70% is so
Um,
yeah. So the whole paradigm shifted. It started with more focused or centralized on the vendor central, the early beginning, and a few years later, now it's 70% plus on a sell essential, which is third party selling. How do you explain that? If from your understanding, what do you think happened in the past 5 6 years? Why did this shift happen?
yeah, so for me, I'm not really focused on the solution. I'm more focused on the brands. So we really want to be very close to our customers. So a lot of the things we still do today is like some brand in Europe still are very much vendor, and they say, yeah, we're hearing a lot about seller, about the fact of controlling our own prices, blah blah blah. And that's where a lot of brands are saying, yeah, if you have an old vendor account, now you probably have your they've Amazon has pushed so much the fact of increasing terms and stuff that you're not making any money, and Amazon's not listening and stuff. So you say, now I should move to seller. It's also, I think, the Amazon dynamic saying, okay, we want to keep vendor only because we want only for a few strategic brands to have the control of the supply, but for the rest we wouldn't care less. It's like, let's do it on seller because I don't own the stock. It's probably much easier on the big scale. And in the States, it's very much so. It's very difficult to become a vendor in the States. In Europe, it's still we still can get a vendor account quite easily, not very easily, but quite easily. But you can feel that the number of vendor managers is reducing, and when you don't have a vendor manager, a vendor account can be very difficult. So for me, it's really Amazon's strategy is impacting. If they had more vendor managers taking more care of the brands, you would have more vendors, but they're not because I think for them it's costing them a lot of money, and the only benefit is to get access to sourcing. So some people were saying, vendor is dead and they will put into one. I doubt that because I think Amazon will stint one for some specific brands. They want to have control and access, and because they want to unlock some markets, some categories, and for that the vendor program is the best for them because they do whatever they want. So
Got it. I mean, let's focus on the sell essential side. From the past 5 6 years, uh, you know, obviously this is the biggest trend. It seems like also Amazon, 60% of Amazon marketplace sales are third-party sellers. When Amazon first started 20 plus years ago, it was 100% Amazon, and then they opened it up for third-party sellers. So little by little, it's taking over. How would you explain that? What's the benefits of Sell Essential for the brands, for the sellers?
we so usually it goes down to two main benefits. The first one is price control. And specifically, Europe is very complicated with as regards to price control, because it's illegal to have a MAP policy in Europe. So you can't talk about MAP.
Really? Wow, I didn't
It's
know that.
yeah, it's completely illegal. So you can't, like in the States, you can't enforce MAP to a vendor account. Like Amazon will not want to listen to MAP policies. But that's maybe the only one in the market, or maybe a few other big ones. But in Europe, it's just if you have a proof, if someone can go to court and have a proof of a phone call, an email where you talked about end user prices, you will be fine, like without doubt.
So you're
Like
saying, just to clarify,
whatever
MAP is
proof.
manufacturing approved pricing. This is where the manufacturers, they want to be able to control and regulate the prices of their products in the marketplaces. So pretty common here in the United States, where brands, like Apple, things like that, they're able to kind of create a benchmark price point for their products, where all the retailers that they sell to are committed to these prices, and if they break MAP or they don't follow the guidelines of the pricing, they can lose their account and their ability to sell Apple devices, right? So that's kind of the dynamic here in the United States. And over there in Europe, no such thing. It's like we sell it to you, and then each retailer will have to, control and regulate their own price through their own, reasoning.
Yeah, if a retailer can prove that you've stopped supplying because they have got the wrong price, you will be fined and you will be forced to sell to them or
Wow.
pay a heavy fine. So that makes a total different dynamic. And therefore, for brands who are saying, okay, price point is a very difficult situation, then the seller account makes less mess in the market, because when you're a vendor, Amazon doesn't destroy that, it won't go down. It's not a price setter. They say they're a price follower. So, but they will endorse basically price drops, because the vendor account, Amazon itself, will go down to the cheapest price. So as a brand, the question is, okay, do I want to have me, aka Amazon, endorse price drops? That's the main question. And therefore, the point is, okay, then if I want to, like, I launch a new product, if I have a strategy, I have a vendor account, is working well, I don't have price issues, cool. Okay, I launch a new product. I know some people might want to try to get the product, and then you go on the seller account and you protect your pricing for X amount of months, for example. The so the first reason is really
Price control, you
price
mentioned, yeah.
protection. The second issue, or the second reason, is access to data. You have it's getting better on the vendor side, but you get access to much more data when you're a seller. So on exactly who's been to your page, who's seen it, the conversion rates, exactly. ARA, even the ARA Premium, so Amazon Retail Analytics, which is the sort of the analytics dashboard on for renders, is not as good as for sellers. So if you want to get more data, especially at the beginning when you're launching a product, you're better off on the seller account.
Got it. Okay, very good, very good. Thank you so much for clarifying that. Now I want to ask about expansion into Europe. Let's say a lot of our listeners and sellers that we help, they mostly sell in the U.S. and what's the situation in going into Amazon Europe? Is it something you recommend? What's the opportunity there? Maybe you can discuss a little bit. And of course, how you get
So
e-commerce can
yeah,
help if needed.
of course. So the first thing is that you need to understand Europe is probably a bigger market than the US altogether. Now, it's a more complex market. However, the plus is that once you're in, it will be very difficult to get you out. I often say that in the US, you can be successful. If a competitor comes, he can kill you in a couple of weeks. It's done, because if he gets a better price on some categories, like it can be go very quickly, but very quickly you can lose it. In Europe, you need to build your success in every country. So if you can find someone who can beat you in every country, it will take him a lot of time. Same as you to build your presence in every country. In every country. Plus, he will need to understand the European way of working, right? Yoni yourself is like Europe is different, huh? So it's like every country's got a bit its specificities, and you need to make sure that you're speaking the European way. Like you don't make mistakes. Like if you make grammar mistakes on the German listings, you're out. Like nobody like this. Like no way.
Nobody's gonna buy,
Typically,
yeah.
yeah, and for example, it's just an example. Is in German, the keywords. If you have sometimes, because of the grammar, you have to add an S or an N or something at the end of the keyword. But then people say, no, no, I want to use my keyword, which is the main keyword. But if in this you put it in a sentence and the grammar is not good, the customer doesn't like it. So it's typically those kind of things you need to be careful of. And if you crack it, you will be in a very good position. And that's, for me, is like, it's a bigger market than the US altogether. And on top of that is, like, if you take the time to be successful, it will be very difficult to get you out. Now, how we can help is, we know the different steps which are making it difficult, and like, it won't be super fast, because then you have to register VAT, you have to do this, you have to do that. It's like, Europe has made it a bit difficult to do business, because we like rules, we like laws, we like order, we like to know, everything is in place. And specifically some eastern part of Europe, like Germans, for example, Swiss, and like, they want everything perfect. Then you can start to do business. So it's not, you can't go and like, oh, okay, I'll send my container, let's start. It doesn't work that way. If you send that container, it will get blocked. So you need to get prepared. And like, there are other very good agencies. We have a positioning of, because we're in Luxembourg, we're really pan-European. We have a lot of different people speaking the different languages, and we are able now to help on the VAT, on the logistics, on a lot of parts, because we understand that, okay, brands need to have the support on everything. So if you don't know about the different stuff, or the different parts which needs to be put in place, we can help. Now, of course, it takes a bit of time and investment, but the return on investment can be really good and sustainable, because
What would you say will be a reasonable amount of time to be able to really, if somebody's here in the United States, they have a really good brand, they're selling, millions of dollars worth of that, dollars of that brand in the US, what would be a reasonable time frame for them to penetrate into the EU? And should they start? Is it all together, all at the same time, or maybe just one marketplace and then another?
Yeah, typically we would recommend to start from one country and one location, and typically, like, the two bigger ones are the UK and Germany. So Germany is the biggest market in Europe for Amazon. UK is second. So from a language perspective, maybe for you it's easier to go in the UK first. That's probably a good idea. UK is easier in general than the rest of Europe. You can get VAT in 2 weeks. You can get set up. So it's quite quick. Germany, already you can see, your VAT number takes 3 to 4 months to get. That's already okay. A lot of paperwork and things to
VAT, just to clarify, it's a value added tax. Here in the United States, we kind of call it sales tax. So you got to set up in these countries, a relationship with the government. So you have your own VAT number. So once you generate the sales, they know how many sales, and you're gonna have to pay all these sales tax and VAT fees to the government. So you're saying in Germany it's taking at least 3 to 4 months just to set that up. This is before you can send any inventory to the marketplace or just to open the Amazon account. So that's something to take into consideration.
Exactly. And typically, if you put your products into the system without the VAT number, because the German government is putting a lot of pressure on Amazon, Amazon will block your account.
Yep. Amazon will simply not activate your account until it's set up properly.
Exactly. So that's typically, but you have ways around it. Like Italy, for example, is you can be set up in a couple of weeks, like 2 to 3 weeks. So if you're really in a rush, you can go through Italy and then like service German customers through the Italian warehouse. But it's like, it's a question for you to say, okay, where do you want to start, and how do you want to start? It's like, you need to measure, and that's where we help to say, okay, look at the pros and cons and what's the best solution for you.
Yeah, would you say a reasonable time frame for sellers to understand about penetrating into Europe is at least 6 to 12 months is kind of needed to set things up properly, so you can really gain traction and start seeing sales and see the potential?
Yeah, typically it's 1 to 3 months. You would start to get ready on all the paperwork, probably work on your content, on the different logistic solution, and so on. And then months 3 to 6, you can be starting to sell. And then from month 6 to 12, that's where you can see which are getting started, and really see, okay, am I getting traction in the market or not? Is that making sense, or do I need to tweak things and maybe start to expand in the other countries?
Nice, got it. And these marketplaces are growing over the years, because you've been there for what, 5, 6 years plus. These marketplaces are growing every year, or is there some markets that kind of hit already saturation?
Well, they are all growing. The thing is that in Germany, typically it's so big and overwhelming that sometimes the cost of keywords, or the cost of getting customers is getting higher, because a lot of people are playing there, because everyone there. In France, for example, it's on some categories, Amazon France is less good because there's a local competitor who's very good. So depending on the category, you can do more or less. Then other countries, newer country like Spain or Italy, you have to understand that Italy, even before COVID, like e-commerce they didn't really understand. It's not in the cultures. Like, no, you go and you see your
You go
friend and
down the street,
you
go to the
buy
store,
and you
yeah,
go to,
physical.
yeah.
Hmm.
That's really their culture. Now, because of COVID, things have changed a bit because they had to go through e-commerce. So it's growing. But what's interesting is that there's no competitors to Amazon, or
Mm.
nearly none in Italy or Spain, because e-commerce is, they don't, nobody was saying it's big. Amazon said, no, no, I'm going there because there's a potential, because one day it will come there. In Spain, you only have AliExpress, so Alibaba, which is settled in Europe, which also started there. So you can see that some big groups are saying, I think Spain will come one day. And now you have what's interesting is that Amazon is fueling tomorrow's growth, because they started in the Netherlands, in Poland, and in Sweden. So all those three countries today are very small, but it's like in 3, 4, 5 years that they will be driving the growth in Europe, for
So
example.
you recommend,
So
yeah,
the
because
thing,
Amazon has planted the
you know,
seeds, plant your seeds with Amazon. They'll make sure, to do everything that they can to grow it and make it a viable marketplace, an extension to the European marketplace. And that's the future growth, like you said, the growth of tomorrow.
yeah, because in the States, Amazon is so big, it's already there, it's big. I don't think they can grow except in new categories, because they are there already. In Europe, what's interesting is that you have so many untapped markets in Eastern Europe, like in
Poland.
Northern Europe, like Sweden, yes, Norway, Finland. That's very high income countries, like that can be really interesting.
Nice, I like that. I think it's very, very, yeah, 5 or 10 years into the future, e-commerce. I think definitely Europe holds a lot of potential, especially with these high earning countries, and which
Yeah,
e-commerce hasn't been adopted as much, and it should be, because it is ultimately a superior shopping experience. You get the best prices, the best products, the most efficient way. You don't have to go visit stores, use your car, use gas, buy something, put it back in your trunk. It's just the experience is just not as efficient, especially for stuff that you need all the time. Toilet paper, and CPG, consumer products, goods. Okay, so I want to kind of capture the story to see if we got everything correctly so far. Born and raised in France, in the Vichy area. 1998, already started school. You learned business. You got your master's. You graduated 2001. 2001 until 2003. Your military service, so to speak, was with the Total, the company, and focused on the chemical industry with the Total. It's a large French corporation, which is in the oil and energy industry, and chemistry. But you spent it in Istanbul, right, in Turkey, from 2001 until 2003, and then 2003 you're able to kind of secure a job with an accessories company in the photo industry, which is also was based in China, had manufacturing capabilities. And then from 2003 until 2013, with these 10 years, you really established relationships and distribution and penetration and growth throughout the European marketplace, all the way until this brand became it became a brand, actually. From just a factory that was trying to kind of build its footings in the ground, it became a brand, and the second best-selling brand, in its niche, in its categories. And then 2013, you find yourself kind of in a limbo. You're not being able to really find a position or a job for yourself. So you said, you know what, I'm going to spread my wings and do things myself. And then you were able to kind of 2 years do that. But then 2015, you finally got a job, consulting with a vernacular company, a German company. And then between 2015, 2018, 19, you were able to onboard more and more of these type of companies where you're consulting. And then 2018, 19, I guess that's the moment where you already established e-commerce as we know today, as a brand, as a name.
Yeah, well, the first company name was funny. It was the Great Wall because it was my, like I came from a long time. I spent time with China, and I said, okay, the Great Wall is linked to my history before, and it's also a building which presumably you can see from the moon. It's not true,
Hmm.
but that's a story, and it's lasted 1,000 years. So I want to say, okay, I want to build things for companies which can be seen from far away and last 1,000 years. The thing that in e-commerce, the Great Wall doesn't speak much, so I
Got it. So
changed it to
which year did you dub it
e-commerce made
e-Comas?
simple.
It was 2010, 2019?
I think it's 2019 because we sort of had the Great Wall and then Amazon made simple. And I received one day an email from a very nice lawyer from Amazon saying, "Okay, thank you for loving our brand. It's very nice, but you can't
But
have
you
it."
can't use
And
the name. Yeah, got it. So
yeah, you can't have it.
2019, you established e-commerce as we know today, and then from 2019 until today, it grew tremendously. With brands, and most of these brands are already focused on Amazon Sell Essential, but you're also doing the Vendor Central side, and so you're helping these brands establish in Europe. And of course, anybody based in the US wants to penetrate into Europe, you help them as well. Did we get everything correctly so far?
Very completely correct.
Very good, very good. Okay, so thank you so much for sharing. You learned a lot and I appreciate it. Now I want to finish up the episode with 2 points. The first point will be if somebody wants to reach out to you and connect, where can they find you? And the last thing will be is what is your message of hope and inspiration for entrepreneurs listening out there?
So the way to connect with us is on LinkedIn. We're very active on LinkedIn. We're publishing a lot of content. So you look for e-commerce or ecommerce.com. We're revamping our website, which I hope will be live next week with a lot of our new services. So we're very excited.
Very nice. And what's your message
And
of hope and
yeah,
inspiration? Go ahead.
so the message of hope and inspiration is like the first thing is you mentioned like Vichy so the history is like one thing is like my grandparents fought on each side. One of my grandparents was English, British, the other one was French, and they fought against Germans and stuff. And now I'm working with German people. It's like for me, we can't forget that it's a very like it's a history which is coming. It's very like close to us because my
Recent. Yeah, it's pretty
grandpa, yeah,
recent. Yeah, it's still pretty recent. You can
pretty
still see
recently.
it. Yeah.
So it's like it's incredible today that thanks to business, because Europe was rebuilt thanks to business. Say, okay, let's go. Let's stop. That crap because we're killing. We're also decreasing the value altogether. So it's like for me, the message of hope, like generally, is one is okay. Look at what we can do, thanks to business sense. Like business is not. You don't have like too much emotions about you. It's like okay, we can Germans, French, English, we can work together. So that's for me. It hit me because you were talking about Vichy. You mentioned Vichy, and I think that's for me one great thing because in our world today, there's so much fighting and so on. It's like okay, when you do business, obviously you fight, but it's on a different way. It's like that's for me is really incredible. The second thing I would like to say, which is a bit more less emotional, is about that what I loved about Amazon, and specifically earlier on, is that it was giving so much possibility. Like what was frustrating for me working as a brand in like in the photographic industry is that you had a couple of buyers in Europe. Let's say in France you had, or in Germany you have MediaMarkt. In France you had Fnac or different people. You had a couple of buyers, let's say 10 buyers, who would decide on your success or your failure. If you were friends with the guy, he would buy your product and put it in these 400 stores, and you would be successful without that because your product was selected more or less, and it would run. Today, it completely changed. It's like the barrier to entry or the power of the buyers disappeared in a sense. Like on the vendor side, you could still okay say it's not always true, but it more or less is like today, whichever product you have, you can get it to the market without doubt. Like whatever you want to do, you can present it to the market. Now, if you're successful, it's based on having a good product, it's working bloody hard, and it's about also knowing some of the tricks. And like the tricks is, getting a trick of saving money you would get from Getida, a trick of okay, how to expand in Europe you would get from us. It's like okay, you need to learn the things and to find people around you which will help you to build the thing. But it's for me, it's incredible. We have so many opportunities thanks to e-commerce and specifically Amazon that for me it's really a message of hope because tomorrow we could say, oh, you know what, Yoni, let's start a brand of pet foods. You know, why not? Nothing is stopping us. We just have to find a supplier and let's go. Before it wasn't that easy.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. So as you know, just to summarize on that, so this is a real time of opportunity, like never before. So go seize it, work hard, be prepared to work hard, focus on making, loving people and not fighting with people. And if you have to fight with anybody, at least make it on the marketplace, so it's financial, right, and not physical. So there's no real destruction. And this is kind of the message of hope and inspiration for anybody listening out there. Beautiful stuff, Jerome. Thank you so much. Best of luck to you and the e-commerce team. Keep on doing a good job. Thank you everybody for listening. I hope you enjoyed. Stay safe and healthy. Until next time.
Thank you.